Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And on today's exciting episode, we're going to be looking at White Rabbit Project.
I kept thinking it was but it's just White Rabbit Project.
Yeah, which is kind of a Mythbusters spin-off on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, had
Unofficial.
1 season, 10 episodes. So we're looking to do them all. So we're starting with episode 1 today.
Why not? We've learned from our mistakes where we did Blue Book's final episode.
Yeah, but we haven't learned from the mistakes of Xena Project and Blue Earth SOS.
Yes. And maybe this is better, or maybe this is much worse than those two.
Well, you'll have to wait and find out.
Wait and find out. Before we get into anything else, if you want to skip ahead, you can use the time codes in the episode description, or the show notes, as some people call them. And how are you, Lewis?
Yeah, good. I've been off work for the last 10 days, booked some holiday, just went in and visited people, but came back on Friday. I've just been chilling. It's a nice sunny day.
It is Sunday.
It is Sunday. It's that time
Sunday.
of recording.
Yeah.
By the time you listen to this, it won't be Sunday.
No, it may be Monday
It
morning.
might be Sunday.
It might be the next Sunday.
If you wait a while to listen. Saying that, I was currently listening to our last episode this morning, so it was Sunday.
It was Sunday when you listened to it.
But yeah, no, I am good. Back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure will be busy. I'll probably have like 40,000 emails.
Lovely, very popular.
Yeah, what can I say? Half of them will just be like, Lewis, you're great.
Where
we love
are
the
you?
projects.
Is your work email, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Had a week off before at some point. We did a double episode.
We've both had weeks off, and you listeners didn't even notice.
Absolutely. Apart from when we mentioned it the last 2 episodes and then mentioned it again today, you wouldn't have noticed.
Yes.
And so between recording the Jackie Chan Adventures episode, I had a week off, then you've had a week off, and very seamless.
We're all very relaxed now.
Yeah, very relaxed. Went to sunny old España. I was going to say Espanol, but that's Spanish.
Yeah.
So clearly my Spanish didn't really improve too much over that time.
Yeah,
but,
clearly.
Had a lovely time.
Uno San Miguel, por favor.
Uno. I don't really go for the San Miguel, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's all they drink in Spain. Uno Estrella, por favor.
Yeah, that's better. It was Cruz Campo or Victoria's what we were drinking. Both very nice.
Right. I went to Spanish tapas restaurant earlier this week, and Estrella was like the only beer they did, and I was like, I'll have an Estrella, please.
I like Estrella. You know what? I was going to say I quite often have an Estrella. I looked down on my hand, and one of them had just snuck in there. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, you listeners should see this place. It's just Estrella everywhere.
Yeah, if I put my hand down, you touch an Estrella. You can't help it. I'm not a hoarder or an alcoholic, just to
you
clarify.
say that, but we'll be the judge of that.
I'm sure you will. So first segment, Lewis.
Project news.
Gets more seamless every time.
Yeah, one day I will nail that. So I've got 2 bits. Considering we haven't recorded for a couple of weeks, I thought that'd be a bit more great news stuff.
Well, you might have missed some in the weeks in between.
Yeah, I guess. So, looking at it now, I can't see why. This hasn't got project in the title. I don't know why it was on there.
No, the first mistake.
Let me reword the title.
Wow, this is called fake project news.
Wish you'd starred in Star Wars. This Vermont crowdsourced project might be up your alley.
Okay, so what's that all about?
The opening paragraph is fantastic. Do you put the star in Death Star?
What?
Are you a Wookiee film director?
Oh, fucking hell.
Or such an experienced movie maker, you're practically a Jedi Master?
Sorry.
If so, this Star Wars may be for you.
Wow.
It's this filmmakers in Vermont who basically make shot-for-shot remakes of classic films,
Right.
and get people to send in scenes they've made.
Yeah.
So they did Castaway a couple of years ago.
I've seen things like they used to call it Sweded at some point because it was not like Swede like the vegetable, not like Swedish. It was, and there was that film Be Kind Rewind with Jack Black and Mos Def where they fuck up all their VHSs that they rent out and they have to remake them all. Yeah, it's been a bit of a thing, but this is shot by shot. It's a bit more of an intensive.
Yeah,
kind of
so
thing.
they did Castaway. They did. I think they did most of Jurassic Park, but basically they just say, like, well, you don't need to be an experienced filmmaker.
Yeah.
You can be how creative you want. Just pick a scene from Star Wars, send it to us, and then they kind of collate it all into one
so
film.
Full scenes, basically, rather than yeah.
Which probably makes it a bit easier to put together at the end.
Because there's episodes. Bob's Burgers comes to mind. There's an episode where it keeps switching animation styles.
I
hated that episode.
Me and Christine were watching through Bob's Burgers when we got to the episode, and we haven't gone back to Bob's Burgers since.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the episode itself isn't a bad episode, but it's so distracting because animation is more costly and time consuming. It's like 5 to 10 seconds at a time, isn't it? If that.
So jarring.
Yeah. And there's some very ugly animation styles. Sorry,
there really
is.
I won't say which ones, but some of them are not good.
3, 5, 19, and 25 are terrible. No, just
I was going to say, do you know?
I've got a little list.
But yeah, so this could be fun. Just and people love Star Wars, so I'm sure they'll have loads of entrants.
Do they?
I think the trick for this would be to do like a really obscure scene.
Yeah,
because everyone's gonna do like the Death Star run and
showdown with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, stuff like that.
So just do like a really nothing scene.
Yeah, just pick the most boring. I had it's a good time.
Not that there is a single boring scene.
I was watching Mr. Sunday Movies. A guy does podcasting. Me and Lewis listen to quite a lot of his stuff, but just for listeners, he did a video recently where they're talking about the prequels, and there was a scene that they showed with a character, and I was thinking, who the hell is this guy? He's a very obscure character from like the Phantom Menace. People might recognize him if they saw him. I thought a good pub quiz round would be like super obscure Star Wars characters out of context. So maybe their backgrounds are cut out, and just like see if you can first of all place where they come from, and second of all name them for bonus points.
Yeah,
and I'm sure some people will be really good at it, yourself included, maybe. But this guy literally looked like just an old man. It turned out he was like, I don't know who he was, but anyway, bit of a tangent there early on.
Figure out who it could be, but yeah, cool. And so that's that one. This other one does have project in the title.
Yes.
Or does it? Maybe I put it in. Maybe I put it in.
You're just gonna set a new standard here, isn't
it? It was really weird that came up, but anyway, I'm past it. Brie Larson teases secret project with recording session images.
Right. What musical?
Well, she basically put a picture on Instagram of her sitting in front of a microphone with the caption "Another Secret Project," and I'd like to be the first person to announce that Brie Larson is joining the project as the third host of the podcast.
Yeah, we were trying to keep it secret. All those holidays, we were really just traveling out to LA just to meet with our good friend Brie.
Yep.
Did you see another thing that she has recently been announced for?
No, what's that?
Well, Vin Diesel posted a very interesting photo with both himself and Brie Larson laughing together on Instagram with an interesting caption, which effectively says that she's joining the Fast and Furious franchise for Fast 10. I'd read it out, but it's kind of long. But he it's very interesting. Anyone look it up if you need. Got the time.
Interestingly, Brie Larson does already have a podcast called Learning Lots with Jesse Ennis.
Right.
Discussing current trending topics and pop culture.
Wow. Sounds like a bit of a, easy podcast, Yeah. Not very niche, is it?
No. You need to be niche to be interesting.
I've got the need for niche.
But yeah, I'm sure whatever she does, there'll be thousands of men on Twitter getting very angry about it and saying that it's actually terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's what Brie Larson's career is these days.
She's got to constantly face adversity.
Yeah. Even though she's fairly inoffensive and quite talented.
I think she's pretty inoffensive. I mean, she was in a film prior to her recent successes called Basmati Blues, where she travels around India. It's a bit of an eat, pray, love kind of film.
Right.
I don't imagine that it's particularly well aged now, but who knows?
Yeah, everyone's done it.
I mean, I was in there.
You were in what? I was going to make the joke, but I don't want to.
I was going to say Basmati Reds, but that's not really any joke, is it? I was in the Russian Reds, so that's really not aged well.
Oh, yes, the Russian Reds. But yeah, that is the project news for the week. Like I said, not the most fascinating stuff ever. But there was one other thing aside from project news that I wanted to check up on. I say that as if I planned it out, but it's literally just me thinking about it now.
That's all right.
And that is the exciting news that the Lazarus Project is starting soon.
Yes.
Which we will be watching it. It says April still.
Yeah.
On Wikipedia. So I'm going to quickly Google the Lazarus Project and see if we can get an actual start date.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. I'm also on the Sky thing, and there is nothing about.
It's weird. They said there was an April release.
Oh, it says available episodes 1. So I think the first episode might be out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're getting to the end of April, really, aren't we? So yeah.
We should think about. That sounds like an off-pod conversation.
That's the second tagline. First tagline is if it's got project in the title, we'll cover it. Second is we'll get to it, and third is that sounds like a off-pod conversation.
Yeah, but so yeah, there's a little hint at what may be coming up in the near project future.
Maybe the very near future for us.
Yes, the very very near future. But yeah, so that is exciting. But let's look into the future. We watched White Rabbit Project. Episode 1, which was called, have you got it written?
Super Power Tech.
Super Powered Tech.
No, Super Power Tech. Because I thought Super Powered Tech sounded better, but they chose the worst sounding name, as they also did with removing the from their title as well.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Not a very good start, really, unfortunately.
So before I get into any details, the Google description, Carrie Byron, Tori Bellucci, and Grant Imahara investigate events from pop culture, science, and history.
What? No fucking way! Those.
So what's ours again?
Ours is the podcast with a mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history.
Okay, so they've got the pop culture, they've thrown in science and history.
Well, I'm happy to say that. Well, we both neither of us had watched this before, and no. I didn't know it existed until
to the extent that I watched it earlier today.
Yeah.
And I forgot what it was called, wrote project into Netflix and couldn't find it. So I had to scroll through our chat to find what it was called.
Well, the algorithm definitely wants us to forget about it as well then, doesn't it?
Yes. But yeah, as you kind of said early on, it is like a spin-off of Mythbusters.
Yeah.
It's 3 of the cast members, but not the main 2 from Mythbusters, who are the 3 I mentioned. It was Netflix produced, which always means it's harder to find numbers.
So it's not Adam Savage or Jamie Hyneman.
Yes.
We better mention them.
Carrie, Tori, and Grant.
Yes.
It was Netflix, so we don't know any numbers.
Yeah.
Because Netflix keep it all secret, but it was cancelled after 1 season.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched bits of Mythbusters here and there, and I quite enjoy it. It's a similar vibe to this, but I think that the other guys are much more
charismatic and likable.
Yes, and I think some of these people are very annoying.
Yes, I got the same feeling.
I think Adam and Jamie are both, charismatic, and they're all very weird, and they're all very kind of nerdy, and they're not very, they're a bit awkward, but this really brought it out. Like,
yeah,
I didn't like it too much. To be honest. I'm gonna.
I think
say
I
it up
liked
front.
the content,
Yeah, it was okay.
not as much
yeah.
the hosts.
We'll see as we get through it, but yeah.
So IMDb, it's got 6.9 for this series
Oh,
and 6.7 for this episode specifically.
so
it means this is a less than average episode,
yes,
which may be promising.
Yeah, although
if most of the remaining episodes are better than this.
Yeah, although I do remember when I looked up the best rated episodes, I've got a feeling this might have been one of them, so that doesn't really make sense, but we'll see as we go.
Maybe Joe what? There's absolutely no reason why the overall rating would reflect the episode ratings, because the episode ratings aren't, the overall rating isn't just an average of the episodes.
True. Yeah.
So people might give every episode a 6 and then be like, you know what, overall I think it's a 7 kind of deal.
I can't find what I was looking for here, so don't worry about it at all. But yeah, I've got a feeling that superpower tech sounds familiar, and when we were in the practice of doing the best rated episodes, I think that flagged up at some point when I was looking it up. So may well be the best of the best, unfortunately.
Wow. We've got 9 more of these.
Maybe they get more into the swing of it as they go, kind of loosen up a bit.
Get cancelled.
Or maybe, as with most things, they don't actually put them up in order of recording, so it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, maybe. It was kind of weird, like at the start they were being like, as usual, we've done this. And I was like, this is the first episode.
I think maybe it's that thing where you kind of pretend that you're more established than you are.
Yeah.
When you pretend you've got loads of listeners, even though you've only got a handful.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't really relate to
Joe
that.
Rogan, classic move. Classic move.
Joe Rogan.
Classically only got a few listeners, but, likes to put off that he has a lot of listeners there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the episode starts... we have like the intro first, which is clips from various episodes and introducing the 3 hosts.
Yeah, and it's that whole thing of, we're going to test this. I think they say something about going down the rabbit hole or something, which is, I guess, where they got their name from.
Is White Rabbit from
Alice in Wonderland? Yeah, so I think the idea is they kind of fixate on this and go down the rabbit hole and
I don't think they mention it at all in this episode.
Just in that intro, I think.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, then the episode actually starts, and there's some like burglar who gets cornered by the police, but then he kind of manages to twist it around and is aiming a gun at the police.
It's like
and I was
dramatized.
I would swear this was meant to be a spin-off of Mythbusters. What am I watching?
It was obviously very cheap though, and it kind of plays into it as it moves through this, but it's like a back alley, but it's like really obviously a set. Yeah. And then suddenly there's like, what is it? One of the cans starts moving, and then the gun starts like sparking lightning.
Yeah. Off. And like a superhero is lowered down into shot.
Just like flying along really slowly.
And
with like a wand thing. And they're doing really weird arm motions, like woo!
And then blows up a mannequin where the burglar was standing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then you hear a cut, and it goes to like the set, and the director's like, yeah, cool, that was great. And he's one of the guys. He's
Tory, I think.
Tory.
Yeah.
Which
he's a Tory.
For an American, that's probably like not a stat.
I mean, it's more of a female name normally, I think.
Yeah.
So that would be T-O-R-I.
But also, he spells it with a Y, which in England and Britain has very different connotations.
Does, yeah.
People more associate it with poverty and killing the poor and cutting funding from the NHS.
Yeah, and Boris Johnson.
Yeah. Who is...
And Margaret Thatcher. And David Cameron.
Boris Johnson's still our Prime Minister. Somehow.
At time of recording.
At time of... Oh, I'll be so
touch
happy.
Wood.
Surely touch wood means that you're not jinxing it.
Touch wood that it's only at time of recording that he will
okay.
So it's only during this hour and a half that he'll ever be Prime Minister.
We'll get a notification during this episode being Boris Johnson's resigned.
Okay, touch wood. Okay, that works.
It'll be like a monkey paw and we'll get Rishi Sunak.
Oh, God, that's the same with Trump, isn't it? Mike Pence would have been much worse. But...
Yeah, so anyway, we've got the 3 hosts, Grant, Tory, and Carrie. And they're basically explaining the White Rabbit project.
Yeah.
And
I think they say score using 6 criteria, but I think they meant 6
Yeah, so they say that this is going to be superpower tech.
Yeah.
And they say they've got 6 different powers they're looking at.
That's right.
3 criteria.
Yeah.
Which is cost, similarity to actual superpower, and usability.
Yeah. And one thing that's very frustrating is when they rate these, they don't keep in that order.
Yep.
Did you find that annoying?
I noticed that.
Yeah.
And also, their ratings are bullshit.
And also, one time, they don't actually show one of the answers. So I had to keep going back so I could write it down.
Oh, yeah. Was it the cost on one of them?
Yeah, it's just on a screen in the background.
I had to rewind and find it. I think as we go through, we should also do our own.
Yes, absolutely. Good.
Suitability.
You know what this is like? This is just like Project Power, episode 2.
Because some of their ratings I really don't agree with.
And also, sometimes they're rating each other's, and sometimes they're on their own and they rate their own. And the one that wins, because she gives herself 9 out of 10.
Yeah, which was bullshit.
I mean, it was one of the cooler ones in a way.
But also,
it's a trick.
She pissed me off with that as well by not using it properly. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. So yeah, they go through one by one essentially. A couple they revisit, but it's essentially broken down.
And it's supposed to be based on, I don't know if we said, like superpowers from comics, pop culture, films, whatever. A lot of them they directly reference, some of them they don't.
And
reference.
some of them are based on comic book characters that don't have superpowers.
Yes,
such as Iron Man, who's famously not superpowered.
Yeah, so superhero tech might have been better.
Yeah.
Immediately finding flaws here. We're gonna have a fun time here with this one.
So the first power is mind control.
Yes, and it's Carrie Byron.
Carrie Byron's doing this,
who I think people really like, and I think that's because she's the lady on Mythbusters. And I
did not
kind of see the appeal from, a mass, I'm a nerd girl and I'm a bit weird. But this section specifically, I thought was very annoying.
Yeah, so
she goes to see an expert who has done some form of mind control tech, and it's relating to cockroaches.
Yeah, so he basically it's the classic thing he puts things on you, he can read your neurons.
Well, before that, he just does the little cockroach bit.
Yeah, but I mean, he's saying how you can read neurons based on movement, and they're going to make a cyborg cockroach.
Electrodes, isn't it? That you stick on.
So he wants her to dunk a cockroach into ice water.
Yes.
She's very jumpy.
Yeah.
I feel like half of this bit could have been cut out.
I also feel like she's probably playing it up. If she's not, then
as we saw from the trailer, she may play things up a bit for reactions.
Yes, there's a part in the trailer where she falls off a chair after having a drink.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it's dramatization, isn't it?
But
she dunks the cockroach in and it freezes it, basically. It's like an anesthetic.
It kind of shuts it down.
Yeah.
And then starts sandpapering its back. And I was like, at this point, this is like quite horrible.
The next bit's worse because she sandpapers the back and then she has to clip its antennas off.
Yeah, and glues like a little circuit board to its head.
Yeah. I know they're bugs, but
they're still living creatures. I was a bit unsure about.
They were just like, we're just doing this.
And this isn't even the main experiment. They're just doing this as a build-up.
Yeah, and they basically connect up the circuit backpack, which is the receiver, to 2 little wires that I think she literally puts the antenna inside the wires to connect them up, because she's trying to thread it like a needle, isn't she?
Yeah.
And it sends signals to both sides. And basically, cockroaches, like animals with whiskers, it uses them to detect if it's
and they've made their own antenna, and they've got a box that connects them, so they can tell the cockroach what antennas would usually
as
tell
if it's bashing into something, and it makes it turn basically.
They wait for it to warm up, and they've got an app on the phone that basically is swipe left, the cockroach turns left, swipe right, the cockroach turns right, because it gives that a bit.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's quite cool, if a bit cruel, but
absolutely,
it is. And they're literally just making this cockroach zigzag across the table.
Yeah, because basically it moves normally, and then it gets the impulse to turn left or right, doesn't it? Basically, so it's very rudimentary, but it's interesting still. Like the science of it.
Yeah, and it's less like mind control and more like hitting nerves type thing.
Yeah, which is again what happens with the next bit as well when this experiment continues.
Yeah. So she then's like, this is all good, but we want to do this on humans.
Yes.
and he attaches these wires to her arm that we kind of mentioned, saying that he can read the neurons, can read like her muscle things that she gets from her brain.
Yeah.
So when she like moves her hand, it comes up on his screen.
Oh, she uses it on like a claw, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like amputees would use. I imagine it's similar technology.
So yeah, it can control this little machine, and he's like, I can control your arm. So he attaches similar things to him. So when he moves his arm, the brain sends to his arm that, but it also sends it to the thing stuck to his arm, which sends it to her arm. So her arm reacts as if she's getting the brain tell her to do it, but it's his brain.
And it's very sudden, jolty movements because it's involuntary. But I think it's quite cool.
Yeah, so he lifts his arm up and she lifts her arm up.
And obviously she's playing it up a bit as well, but she's like, whoa! And again, the science of this is cool, and I think it is
like at first he's just doing the wrist and lift it up, and then puts it on her bicep as well, and he can lift the whole arm. It is quite cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
A bit like there's not real any like application this because it's so jolty.
That's it, and that's what they talk about. One of the criteria, the usability. And I don't think they're fair when they talk about this one, but we'll talk about it when each one kind of concludes.
Because then she goes to a restaurant and Tori meets her there, and then they cut. Yes. They order spaghetti and meatballs,
and he gets there and he realizes it's a set or whatever.
Yeah, he just thought they were going out for dinner. Obviously,
they could have. Even if they'd played that, I know I'm always like putting suggestions in, but they could have done it where he was like, "Oh, I thought we were going on a date" or something like that. Like, make it a bit more funny. Yeah, make it as if there's this like character that he wants to go out with her. I don't know. If you're going to dramatize it, if you're going to make it this reality TV kind of stage thing, do something with it. Don't just be like, oh, I didn't realize until I sat down that it was for the show. And it's like, you've had to anyway. So then, we come back to that.
We then go to the second power, which is freeze, being done by Grant
Imahara.
And at first he's playing with like liquid nitrogen, which is kind of something everyone's kind of familiar with.
Yeah.
Like very, very cold.
He does a lot of stuff with freezing different things, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he mixes some he gives like chemical names for stuff.
But it's milk and stuff, isn't it?
And puts in the liquid nitrogen, and he's basically made himself some ice cream. Yeah. When he first started eating that, I was like, what? But yeah.
Because he says bovine excretion or something, and it's
and it looks like a paste as well, which is kind of weird.
And then he goes through he says something about romance or something with a rose, and then freezes it and smashes it. And apple a day keeps the doctor away, and he tomatoes. And I think Grant is probably the best person on this.
Yeah,
really. He's very cheesy, but
he's quite self-aware in that he knows he's quite charismatic and he's playing this dorky side because it's quite fun.
Exactly. And he's kind of playing a mad scientist in this. He's very much, he's playing this role.
But I think at the same time, he's almost most like himself. He seems more natural in acting this, whereas the other two seem to be putting, especially Carrie, seems to be putting something on a bit more.
Yeah, I'd completely agree. Yeah.
But yeah, basically he says he wants to make this bigger. He makes like a spray.
Yeah, so he gets a big thing of liquid nitrogen. He attaches like a nozzle to it and makes like a kind of very basic kind of gun thing that you can turn on and off.
But when he shoots it, the room's too warm, so it doesn't freeze. And he says he can't be Dr. Ice. And I was like, he wanted to say Mr. Freeze, didn't he? Because it is essentially Mr. Freeze.
It's a freeze ray that he's looking for, isn't it? Yeah. And it basically turns into vapor, so it's just like shooting like a vape out, basically.
Yeah, and he kind of freezes the end of the gun and says it only works in a cold place.
Yeah,
and we'll revisit it later on the episode.
I think he cools down a little box and then he shoots it into that, and he can see that the nitrogen's coming out, which kind of a bit pointless because he's like, it would work in a cold place. I'm like, okay, and
but he's not quite done yet, so we will go back to him.
Yeah.
The third power is lightning.
Tori himself.
Who basically wants to harness and shoot electricity.
Yeah.
Which is quite fun.
It's a cool idea, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the one I like the most.
Did you? Yeah, I mean, I hated him so much. I didn't like him at all, but It's a lot of Tesla coil type stuff. Bless you. A lot of Tesla coil type stuff that you probably seen
the
before.
science behind this is quite fun.
It is
he talks about
interesting,
the Tesla coil where
yeah.
you could put it around you and not get electrocuted.
Well, that's
Faraday
cage.
The Tesla coil is the one that kind of exponentially creates more and more volts.
It was like 240 volts can go up to like 1 million volts or something. It's like an amplifier kind of thing, isn't it?
And he's with this guy who works for Tesla, I think.
Maybe, I don't know. They talk about Nikola Tesla for a bit as well. They do a little bit.
I think this guy works at Tesla.
He might do, yeah. I don't know. He was an expert in the thing some way. Oh, and he also says he wants to be called Captain Megawatt.
Yeah, it's like his super hero name.
There's the thing about you have to be on a platform for safety, so you don't want to be grounded.
So they've set up this Tesla coil to kind of show the power of it. And you have to be off the ground because otherwise you'll be grounded and it will get you. But they basically say you can shoot like 10 foot away, which is quite far.
Yeah, it's reasonable, like for a kind of medium range kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, ideally, you think like Thor and stuff like that, you'd want further, but
it's better than the freeze ray so far.
Yes, it is.
And they set up this coil. They've put one on top of the other to make it super powerful.
Right.
And you can kind of see, when they turn it on, you can see the electricity come out.
Yeah.
And I thought at first that it was like in slow motion, but when the camera view changes and you can see the moving, you can just see like these lightning bolts coming out. And I was like,
crazy, isn't it?
That is kind of wild and almost quite terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla core stuff is pretty. The fact that you can exponentiate the whole thing like that, whatever the word would be.
Yeah.
And then he basically has to wear this Faraday suit.
Yeah, at first he's like, I guess I'm going to wear a rubber suit because it doesn't conduct. And they're like, nope, here's a chainmail suit. And it's like, what? But it's a Faraday suit, which basically means that all the electricity will go through the chainmail and not go him as long as there's no holes or anything.
Pass over as like almost as if it's like a shield, basically.
Yeah.
It will go into that rather than into him. And I think he does have a rubber suit underneath as well.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But then so they have the setup of like the Tesla coils, him standing on top in this chainmail, and like 5 mannequins with like balloon heads set up around it.
They're set up to look like ninjas.
And he gets like,
well, they have to check his suit for holes first of all, don't they?
Yeah, because if there's any holes, he could get electrocuted.
Yeah, or he'd feel it in that place specifically. They said.
Yeah,
effectively.
But he has like a sword, essentially, to kind of use to direct the electricity.
Yes,
which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
And they start turning it on, and then he gets like a shock in his finger.
Yeah, he's like, and he says it's like
being
like a
tased
taser in the hand. Yeah.
But then when they kind of, he switches the sword to his other hand.
Yeah, he's like, the guy says, you must have a hole in your glove, even though this guy spent ages looking at his. And there's a bit where he's looking at his crotch, and the voiceover's like, I think he was being a bit too invasive with his little searches.
Yeah, but it's like, actually, no. He.
I mean, also, it's probably doing it because it's funny as well.
Yeah, but they switch the sword to the other hand and turn it on, and you can see like electricity like coming out of his thumb.
I think it's coming out from the hand that had the hole in it.
Yeah,
yeah.
But then he then holds up the sword. You can see like lightning coming out the top.
Yeah,
of it,
it's cool. It's very like a Thor kind of thing, isn't it?
And then he aims it at these mannequins and balloons, and it literally blows up their heads. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is like he's actually set out what he was aiming to do.
Was it helium or
it was something in the balloon,
methane or something like that inside it's something flammable so that it explodes when it gets hit,
not just pops. If it was just oxygen, it would just pop and it'd be quite sad. But he literally aims his sword and they go bang, bang, and I was like, yes, I like this.
That's pretty cool.
And then they review this one. This is the first one they review.
Yeah.
So we'll give our reviews as well, I guess.
They go back to the studio and they're all having a discussion about it. Aren't they? So they do it in similarity, cost, and usability in that order. So I think, bless you.
Yeah,
I think similarity.
They gave it a 7 out of 10.
They gave it a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I think that's fairly fair.
I would go a little bit higher.
I think maybe an 8
less
out of
like
10.
Thor, but on a low level villain or someone with that power. He just literally
like Static Shock or something like that.
Yeah,
it's
he does literally blow up a head with a sword.
Yeah, although I think the thing is, if it wasn't filled with gas, maybe it wouldn't. No, it would still attract you, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't really understand how just him. Oh, it's because him pointing at it makes there less distance, so that it arcs to it.
Yeah, that makes
it's
sense.
like he's literally holding a lightning rod, but instead of the lightning coming there, it's coming off that. Yeah,
I would probably give it like an 8 for similarity. Or maybe I think 7's fine, but I'd probably go a little bit higher.
I'll go 7. You go 8.
Okay. It costs $138,000.
Right, we're gonna have to write these down so that we can find out who.
Nah, let's
just do a random one at the end.
Yeah, we can just pick like we did for Project Power. Just picked our favorite one. Yeah.
So similarity cost was $138,000.
Yeah, which it was that. It was that. we can't have a different opinion than what it cost.
I actually think it was 139. So. Usability, they gave it 4 out of 10,
which I can see why, because you have to be on the Tesla coil.
But if you could fly already, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could have a Tesla coil like attached to your back,
or you could go around like in a van.
Yeah, I mean you could make it as like a Mad Max type weapon instead.
Yeah. And the fact that he was literally standing there pointing electricity, I think it's a bit more useful.
What they should have done, they should have combined. This is skipping ahead a little bit with Dr. Ice. But he ends up using water to propel it.
Yeah.
What about if you had like a fire hose and a Tesla cannon and you shot water at a target and it carried the electricity across it? That could give you a bit more range, maybe.
Sounds very, very dangerous.
So like a fire engine, but with a giant... Oh, gosh, sorry, everybody. There was a giant Tesla coil on the back of the fire engine. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I mean, that would be good, but...
I think usability again. I think they've undersold it a little bit.
I think 5 out of 10 is probably
I don't know. Actually, I think 6 is like it's not great, but you could manipulate this, stick some wheels on it, and like
yeah, but you need the power source. No, you know what? I'm gonna stick with the 4 out of 10.
I think you could put all of that on wheels, and
I don't know where the power's coming from.
You put the generator, or it creates a load more, so just put a generator on the wheels as well.
240 volts isn't much. Like it's not much. I'm trying to think.
Exactly. Stick a generator on there, and
okay, cool.
You could drive around like a tank.
So we've got what did I give it? 7. Did I stick with 7? I just gave it the exact same score they gave.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the first kind of ratings we got.
Yes. Oh. And then we are back to the restaurant.
Yeah, we're back at the restaurant, and they are putting the wires on Tory, on his arms, and they're also on like his cheek.
Yeah, it's like just under where your mouth would open and close. So it's the jaw muscles.
And then like she's like, oh, I'll have some wine, please.
Yeah, and he's pouring the wine,
and she jolts her arm, so it jolts his arm, and he kind of spills it everywhere.
Yeah, and then because the wine goes on the electrodes, it starts like glitching, and his arm gets stuck in like a really weird,
and then starts like hurting as well.
I think it's like hurting his muscles or something.
They're getting really like tense,
and he's really complaining about it. And then the guys who are like the tech guys have to like rush in and kind of
Carrie's just like pissing herself laughing.
Yeah, she's loving it kind of a bit too much. Like,
it's
kind of, I mean, I get it. I think this would be quite a fun thing to do to someone. Like, if it was your friend and you're like, haha, have some wine, and then you keep splashing it in their face. Like, it would be fun.
But we then leave them again.
What would be funnier probably is if she was not in front of him. If she was out of view and he just was told just to eat food and drink wine, and then she just kept interrupting. That would probably be a funnier thing, but face to face.
So then we get to our fourth power of invisibility,
and this is back to Grant, and he's talking about invisibility. Yeah, he talks about University of Tokyo scientists made an invisibility cloak.
Yeah, which basically projects what's behind you as what's how people generally imagine what invisibility.
In the video, you see someone standing in a crowd, and there's occasional bits where the projection goes funny, and then you can see someone much larger than they should be.
It's not quite to scale, but for general scenery, it works well.
Yeah.
For things that are like static. They also talked about Land Rover, did a similar thing for their cars.
That was interesting, yeah.
So you could see behind the trailer that's attached to the back of the car.
It projects from the back of the Land Rover onto the trailer that's in your rear view mirror kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that, you can effectively see straight through it. I think that was interesting.
Yeah, South Korea are going to make an invisible skyscraper with LED screens and cameras.
So
I was watching this Christina.
What about planes?
Like, yeah, we said birds and planes. Like when they said that, Christina was just like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's because like for scenery reasons, so that you can just see, you can't see it. But like, okay, it always reminds me, there's a scene in The Simpsons where I think it's the Stonecutters episode, and Homer, he becomes the chosen one, he becomes the leader, and he's like, we're going to do good deeds because they're just drinking and like playing pool or whatever.
Yes.
And they're like, we're going to play... So they paint the children's hospital and or something like that, and then the person's like, oh, lovely sky blue, and it's like the exact color of the sky, and then a plane just flies along and crashes straight into it. And that's what I imagine would happen here.
Yeah, it seems like if you're concerned about the scenery, don't build a skyscraper. You know, like
that is true.
They're worried about the scenery, but the scenery is fine at the moment because there's no skyscraper there.
So it's called the Tower Infinity on Wikipedia. It's in Seoul, and it's the first invisible tower. The invisibility illusion will be achieved with the LED facade system.
Right.
The tower is built primarily for leisure activities, spread over an area of 145,500 meters squared. Blah blah blah. Designed by who?
Has it been built?
It will be the sixth tallest tower in the world.
Huh.
It is. This is they got approval in September 2013. There's no pictures of it, so I think it's still in design stage.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole section about that. Oh, purpose. Here we go.
Purpose, just to kill some birds.
The screens will be so arranged that the tower will be visible from high altitudes, such as to airplanes and birds. So it's angled so that from the ground it looks invisible.
Yeah.
But surely that won't be achieved very well. So even from another building, you'd see it. But it's from the ground, it's invisible.
So but surely, if it's invisible, if you're high up,
a low bird would still hit it as well.
And surely, if you're on ground level, you can see the ground level.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't make any sense.
So if you're in like the 30th floor of a next door building, you can see everything up to the 30th floor.
Well, the thing is about this is that the technology, I assume, doesn't account for individual points of view, which is what you're saying effectively. But there was a similar thread I was reading about the new Invisible Man film, which I've spoken about briefly on the pod. I won't go into any spoilers.
Yeah.
But there's some technology involved in that, and people were questioning it because of things like, even if this was the manner they used the suit in the film.
Yeah.
Shadows would still be cast.
Yeah, look, we spoke about that on
we spoke
Blue
about
Earth,
literally.
SOS.
But people were saying on this thread that potentially, if it was screens, then the screens could negate shadows with extra brightness, which is something that's theoretically
they'd have to be very, very bright,
and then you'll be
also
exactly
still showing.
Yeah, and also they would have to go back to it, account for individual perspectives.
Yeah.
So it's all very science fiction. So I imagine it'll be like the invisibility cloak. It will look vaguely like a background, but probably not very, probably quite ugly.
Yes. So anyway, he's basically set up a system of like lenses with different focal points.
Yeah.
With lights going through so that you can kind of look through them like they're molded different ways, like glasses, to either accentuate or minimize the light.
Yes.
And you can make it so it goes in a line, but like crosses over in a midpoint.
Right.
So you look through the lenses, you can see like the cross on the piece of paper behind. You put your fingers down and you can't see them because the light is bending around.
Well, only if you're on the edge of the lens, though.
Yeah. So you can do about a centimeter of your finger can be invisible. And I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder where they're gonna go with this. And that's all they do with this.
It's rubbish.
It's proper shit. Like,
it's really rubbish.
They didn't. I guess he was like, "Oh, it's not really feasible to do like anything realistic."
They should have done the invisibility cloak, but I guess they couldn't get hold of that because there's a couple of things in this, but do more of it about that.
Yeah, they just kind of breeze past it very quickly.
Because there's a couple. The next one as well. They're like, they talk about it, but it's just
they do review this right now though. So
they do, yeah.
First thing they mention is the cost of $200.
Cheap as chips.
Yeah, because it's just a bunch of glass at different angles and light going through it.
So yeah, good on that scale.
Yeah, usability, they gave it a 0 out of 10 because you have to have everything set up, perfect dimensions, and can only really hide a centimeter of your body at any given time.
He says something quite funny. He's like, no one will ever know where that half of my finger came from. Yeah, again, I'm going to stick with the 0 because I think that it's crap. It's crap.
Because they don't do anything more with it.
And I think similarity to Superpower, they give it 1 out of 10. I think I'm going to go 0 because it was shit.
Yeah, it doesn't have any similarity to anything.
It's literally like, oh, I put my finger like half in and it's not there. Like it's not.
God,
it's so silly. It's like there's no application for this at
the
all.
only missing finger we've been hearing about recently is Johnny Depp.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. God, I got like an edit come up on my Instagram, like as in like a compilation of clips. And it was a very pro Johnny Depp one, but it was him being asked kind of ridiculous leading questions. And the lawyer just kept being like, am I reading this correctly?
Yeah.
Did you see
I keep seeing like TikToks of the case, and Amber Heard's lawyer is just terrible.
Yeah. And there's a bit where they talk about wasting time. And did you see the bit where it speeds up the time? And
they've just been standing around for like 5
ages
minutes
looking for evidence.
And he's like asking like, so you signed this on this day? And Johnny Depp's like, yep, like the first 3 times I signed that. That's my signature on that day.
Yeah. Did you see the thing about Marilyn Manson? He admitted to giving Marilyn Manson a pill to keep him quiet.
Yeah, which, given what we know about Marilyn Manson now, probably good.
I mean, I'm sure Marilyn Manson has given people some pills before, from the sounds of it.
Yes, certainly.
And there's also lots of funny drug talk from Johnny Depp where they said, is it true you kept cocaine in that box? And he said, well, it looks like that box would fit cocaine.
Yeah. And they showed a picture of like 200 pounds of marijuana in his LA studio. And he's like, yep.
They were like, is that a large amount of weed? He's like, yes, sir, that's a lot of weed.
Yeah. Also, it's in California where weed's legal. Like,
I think it's all to do with, it's like a character, it's the defamation thing.
Yeah.
But it's a character assassination, on both parts, isn't it? They're trying to really
there was a bit as well where the lawyer's like, oh yeah, the night where you cut off your finger. I'm sorry. The night when your finger was cut off. And it's like, yeah, you fucked up there, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because anyway. I don't know enough about it, but I've watched a couple of things that have popped up on my
I get a lot of stuff on TikTok at the moment.
I mean,
probably because I watch them, so TikTok
they're both clearly not well in a lot of ways, but it is a shame that it was portrayed as purely one-sided when clearly they're both giving at least something back, if not as good as they're getting, kind of thing.
I saw a thing as well where Amber Heard's lawyer tried to kind of put an angle of the fact that Johnny Depp doesn't need this money by asking him like, oh, you said even if Disney give you 300 million, you won't do another Pirates film. And he's like, no, I won't. It's not about the money. It's that I don't want to do another Pirates film. And it's like, it's like, cool. Somebody should have to work in bad environment.
Like the videos that those same videos, he's coming across well, but also a little bit cocky. But It's just because
I think it's because
what he's up against is so like
the lawyer
ridiculous.
is so bad that it's just like it's hard to take him seriously.
And he's kind of laughing at it, and you can hear the courtroom laughing as well.
Yeah, I think even the judge is like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Anyway, so we get onto our fifth power, which is flying, where they kind of talking about Iron Man.
Yeah.
Iron Man doesn't have any superpowers, so that's a mislabeled thing there. Yep. But they want like flying like an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
And they say people have made a jet wing in Dubai.
Yeah, it's in the skies above Dubai, and they've got this guy who's like an ex-fighter pilot or stunt pilot.
And
or something.
we don't. Is it Tori who does this one?
No, it's Carrie. She's talking to him on Zoom, basically.
Yeah, she doesn't actually do anything. She's just talking about to the guys that do.
They talk about it as they go on. They say it requires a lot of skill and training.
Yeah, but basically they've made like 15 prototypes up to this point, and this is what they've got so far.
Yeah,
and it is like you put on basically wings with 4 jet engines attached and fly around, and it looks really cool.
It is an Iron Man,
and
thing,
you can.
Really.
They said one thing like before people could glide and go down, but we wanted to be able to like go up and around.
That's right. Yeah,
which they can do. It can go 200 miles per hour.
Yeah,
you get 15 minutes of flying.
Yeah, which is the only thing that's a bit like.
But that's still pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's carbon fiber. Yeah, 2 jet engines on each wing. Yeah, fireproof suit, of course, they say, which is just in case.
And they made a point of that, like you're not flying a machine. Yeah, the machine is following you. So if you lean one way, the machine.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not like you're controlling a machine that's flying you around.
Why it has to be such skilled people, like people who are probably good at skydiving and stuff, because you have to be.
I think
calm and
the branding on it did say like Skydive Dubai.
Did it?
So I imagine they started as like a skydiving group and then expanded into this. But that's all we really get on that.
Yeah. She just has that conversation really, and I understand they can't get her up and on it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so the usability, they give 5 out of 10, which again, I think is underrated.
I do agree with this one. I think, 7 or 8, maybe. I think I'll probably go with a 7 based on what we saw.
Yeah, because, I mean, the biggest downside is like 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely,
but in like the Marvel films, how often do you see Iron Man flying for more than 15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, he does probably fly long distances that we don't see.
No, but you could go there in a plane, jump out in
what he does quite often, doesn't he? Yeah, and also in terms of the skill required, when Iron Man first uses his stuff, he's not very good at it. And if someone Rhodey seems to just jump in and be able to fly it off that first time.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I think it probably wouldn't be something you could pick up immediately.
Yeah, so does Obadiah Stane, to be fair.
Well, he made his own one though, and he doesn't really fly that much. He kind of just.
But pretty much, and Pepper Potts, everyone that wears an Iron Man suit can fly it quite easily.
Yeah, one thing with the Avengers game, in the final battle, you all get Stark tech suits. Right. Why didn't they do that for There's no reason at all why Black Widow in Age of Ultron, once they're all fully fledged Avengers, doesn't have a sleek Iron Man suit.
It makes sense for Thor and Hulk because it'd be more detrimental to their power skirt.
Oh, they have them. They have them in the game,
which seems
and it's silly. I mean, it's more just they've got arc reactors on a sleek uniform. It's more a uniform.
But Cap would probably help benefit with having
absolutely. Because he could just boots.
Yeah, fly around a bit. So
Hawkeye definitely could choose one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they gave it 5 out of 10 usability. I think 7 or 8 is
7 or 8.
Fair. Yeah. 190 grand. At first, they made out it was going to be really, really expensive.
They said about the same as a supercar. Or a
and I was like, that is actually fairly reasonably priced. I mean,
if you think about Iron Man's tech, to go back to that, it's that probably cost in the millions, if not billions. Yeah, you never know. Really.
And the only people that are gonna buy this are mega millionaires and billionaires.
Well, they said you can't even buy it at the moment. It's just But when it comes, because he does say he hopes it becomes the jet ski of the sky at some point, which sounds incredibly dangerous to me. Can you imagine just people able to fly these around?
But if you can afford to buy a supercar, this isn't that expensive.
Oh, this is much better than a supercar. I mean, much less usable. It's only 7 out of 10. So.
Yeah, but if you can afford to buy a supercar, you probably get driven around everywhere.
That's true.
So you just have a limo.
Yeah.
And then similarity, they gave 8 out of 10, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have the same like jet propulsion from boots and hands like Iron Man does, and it's got wings.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it makes more like Iron Man stuff doesn't really make sense because if you were being, I suppose because the way he flies, the angles of the arc reactors don't really indicate horizontal flight often. Whereas the wings give the lift and all that.
Yeah, and like if you had like an Iron Man suit, you would burn your thighs constantly.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I mean he's got the armor as well, but they'd be scorched on the outside.
Yeah,
the paint job would be ruined.
Good job. He's got loads of them, or did have loads of them. I can't remember. He destroyed them all, but then had some.
He's dead now, isn't he? So.
Yeah, I kind of lost where.
Oh, that's what Armor Wars is going to be about, right? All of his tech going somewhere.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I just thought he died. Spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame.
That huge film that came out like 3 years ago.
But he died, and we didn't really ever get a follow up apart from Happy. Yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Maybe the next Avengers film. I don't even know. We haven't had any announcements.
I think there's speculation for Secret War, and I think they've said it's going to be like the phase after or the phase after kind of thing.
Right.
Which makes sense.
But yeah, so
we go back.
Similarity, that's fine.
Yeah.
We go back to Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Dr. Ice. We get a recap, despite this being a streaming show that doesn't require an ad break.
It's only 45 minutes long.
Yeah. He makes a truck, like a lorry that has like a minus 22 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's kind of this sort of thing they use to like
a meat truck. Yeah.
It's basically that, but emptied out. And he's in that, and he shoots his liquid nitrogen at an apple in a truck, and it freezes it.
But it takes a really long time, and it's very close.
Yeah, he says it works, but you have to be within 2 to 3 feet. It has to be still for 5 minutes, and you have to be in like freezing temperatures.
Yeah, he's like, this is not good.
Yeah.
It would be good for if you were in like the Arctic.
Yeah. But yeah, then he tries something else. He goes into a room, he has like a mannequin set up.
Yeah.
And he tries it.
He's dressed it up as his villain, but even though it looks like a villain, I think he's the hero. Called Captain Ribeye.
That's the one. And he's attached like a water pistol to the top of.
Well, first of all, he gets his henchman to throw a bucket of water, and then he tries to shoot it.
Yeah.
But because the water's dripped off by the time it's frozen, it doesn't really work. It's a thin layer of ice.
Yeah.
So yeah, then he does a bit like with a flamethrower, where there's a little fuel pump on the top. It's a water gun, isn't it?
Which works really well, and he freezes the guy, and it's like cool, but there's lots of like asterisks to get this working.
I think that one, it takes a while still. I think they have to be still, and they give it a similarity of 6 out of 10, which I don't think is really fair, because it does do what it's supposed to do. And the usability is where you criticize the realism of it.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
So I think similarity, it's not a beam, so it's probably like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
it's kind of an easy.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I think probably.
I was going to agree with them, but you've convinced me that it probably should be a bit higher.
Yeah, I know it's not much higher, but then usability 3 out of 10, which I think is.
Yeah.
Though I think this is more usable than the electric one, to be honest, because it's already fairly portable.
Yeah, he's still attached like a big tank,
but that thing could be sized down to a smaller tank,
and also put on wheels,
or just be a tank on your back,
but
like a Mr. Freeze suit.
What holds it down with usability is it needs to be cold.
But if you shot someone in the eye, I think it would fuck them up still.
Yeah, but he wants a freeze ray.
Yeah, but you can get an eye freezing ray.
Then just get a gun.
You can say that about the lightning as well.
Like,
just get a gun.
But like, if you're saying, "Oh, hit him eye," like get a dart. Like,
yeah, but if you wanted to freeze someone's eye, then you get a freeze.
Why would you just want to freeze somebody's eye?
I don't know. Why do you want to freeze someone at all?
So we can figure out a cure for my wife who I froze because she's dying and I need to save her.
She's got an eye disease.
That's the plot of Mr. Freeze, right?
That is the plot from a certain point onwards, yes.
Yeah. Was it
Victor Freeze?
I think that's what he's doing in Gotham, which is the most recent version of Mr. Freeze that I've seen.
Yeah, that's I don't know if it was another one that the animated series put in place, but it was definitely from the 80s, 90s. It wasn't his original origin.
They kind of reinvented the character a bit, didn't they?
That's it, yeah. And the Arkham games and comics recently and Gotham, yeah. And maybe, I don't think he's got a wife in
Batman Returns?
Batman and Robin? Not Returns.
Batman and Robin, yeah, Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, what's the last one? Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Because I can picture the scene of the ice skating scene and Batman and Robin there.
But Robin is in the one before, which is
Batman and Robin, it's Batman Forever.
Batman Forever, yeah. Batman and Robin is Mr. Two-Face and Riddler, and then Batman Forever is Iceman and Poison Woman.
Yes.
And Bane.
I saw this thing about when they were casting for Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the guy who plays Robin.
Christopher.
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell.
Is it O'Donnell?
I think it's Chris O'Donnell.
But anyway, they had two actors that they couldn't choose between. So they put it towards a test audience of kids, and like, which one of these is more? Was it Chris O'Donnell?
Chris O'Donnell.
They're like, which one of these would you prefer as Robin? This test audience of kids, and they chose Chris O'Donnell. So they turned around and turned down Leonardo DiCaprio. And then, like, a few years later, they wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to play Anakin Skywalker. And it's like, could you imagine how different his career would have been?
And he was going to be Peter Parker in James Cameron's Spider-Man as well.
Could you imagine how different his career would have been if he was Robin?
Oh, yeah.
James Cameron's Peter Parker and Anakin Skywalker in the prequel.
Or any of them, yeah.
He made, like...
He wouldn't have done a lot of the films.
I mean, like, I've never been a fan of Romeo and Juliet and Titanic, but they were liked films.
They set him on a dramatic path.
People like those films.
Yeah, yeah. And things like, even lately, like the couple of Tarantino's that he was in, even Don't Look Up, Revenant, which was...
But, like... Yeah, if he was Robin, maybe it all could have changed.
Well, I mean, if he was Robin,
anyways,
I don't think it would have saved the film, to be honest.
No. The cost of this is the one where they talk about it and then move on without it coming on screen.
In on the background.
You have to freeze and pause and look at. And it's $1,475.
Did you say that on purpose?
What?
You have to freeze.
Oh, no, I didn't. I mean, yes, I did, obviously.
Freeze. Yeah, 1,400, which is pretty good for a freeze ray.
For a freeze ray, but it doesn't actually work that well.
And also, if you think about, say we were in the Batman universe, which who's to say we're not, but say we were.
Yes. Which Batman?
Who knows? Let's say the Batman.
The most recent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Forgot what I was going to say there. Oh, Mr. Freeze is always like, he's either making a new thing or he's like stealing tech from a lab to make a new thing.
That's true.
So if the basic one that some guy from Mythbusters can make is under $2,000, who's to say that the potential technology isn't there somewhere?
The thing is, would that be enough for you to use to rob a bank to get more money to develop the technology further?
That is a good point. I reckon you wouldn't even need it. You just need a gun. Just get a gun. You do the first one, but you call yourself Mr. Freeze to get your name out there.
Because you turn up to the bank and go, freeze! And get the nickname Mr. Freeze.
Well, the way it happened is that Mr. Freeze, or Victor Freeze, he was walking up to a bank, as you say, and somebody went, "Hey, mister," and then he went, "Freeze," and then someone overheard, and they thought that he was announcing himself.
I don't think you've watched much Gotham.
I haven't seen a single minute of that show.
They've got a whole thing in there where they don't know how to pronounce his name. They think it's pronounced Freeze. Because it's F-R-E-I-S-E.
F-R-I-E-S, like fries.
Yeah, and they'd say either fries or freeze. And then eventually he's like, freeze, and becomes Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
He gets annoyed at people mispronouncing his name.
Do you get a lot of characters in the lead, like, oh, it's this guy, oh, it's Mr. Nigma, who's this?
Yeah. Edward Nigma plays a big part for quite a long time. For ages, he
helps the police.
He just works for the police. He's not even a villain. For season 1, he just works for the police.
Isn't Jada Pinkett Smith in that?
Yes.
Fish Mooney.
Yeah,
I've never seen a minute of it.
It was quite good. I never finished it though. I've been thinking about finishing
I've seen what he looks like at the end.
Who?
Batman. He does. I think he does have some form of costume towards the end.
I haven't got to, he's just a kid.
Yeah, I think maybe they do a time skip.
Right. I think there was like 5 seasons.
I don't think it's a full costume, but he has some sort of vigilante outfit.
I think there was 5 seasons. I've watched like 3 of them.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we get to our final power, which is super strength.
That's right. And they, again, this is just like the jet suit one. They just go through some stuff that...
Like, I know some of them they can't do everything for, but they've ordered this really weirdly, where like...
Yeah.
Maybe put like the lightning or something at the end.
Yeah. They should have put the superhuman strength first.
But like, the last, the last...
Because we just go back after this, the mind control to finish off, which is fair enough. But
like, the last 3...
Have the explosions at the end, you're right. Have the lightning last.
The last 3 strengths they look at is the shitty invisibility doesn't work, the flying that they don't even do themselves, and the super strength, which they don't do themselves. They're the final 3 they look at.
Yeah. Although, they go back to mind control. But
but that's just poor writing.
Yeah. It's not... Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, they're talking about exoskeletons and about how lots of things already exist.
They talk about something which was, I think, General Electrics did a suit back. It looked like it was in the 50s or 60s. I didn't hear what they said, but it was old black and white photos.
Yeah.
And they were like, no one wanted to get in them because of the sporadic movements. And it reminded me of Iron Man 2, where they see the Hammer Tech suits. And there's that guy in it, and he starts like twisting around and breaking his back. And stuff. I was like, this.
It's essentially that's why they never tested it.
Yeah, exactly.
But they say we do have some stuff today, like paraplegics,
partial exoskeletons,
have like legs to help them walk, and they had a thing with like people being helped to lift stuff, so they don't have their back.
At, like factory. A lot of it, funnily enough, is to help you do more work.
Because that is the society we live in.
Yes.
Vive la revolution.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they basically say like portability is an issue, and super strength in the way we would see it in superheroes.
There's a DARPA suit, which is the one they talk about a lot.
I was kind of hoping when they said super strength, they'd go down the route of like injecting into muscles.
Steroid. Carrie Bryan gets fucking steroids.
It's like, so I spent the last 6 months on steroids, and look how super strong I am.
Just beats it's like in Rick and Morty where they just beat them up. Oh dear. But yeah, they go through, they talk about it. It has a massive power source. So the suit itself is kind of it's chunky-ish. It's like a little mech suit exoskeleton.
Yeah.
But there's a big power source that's like the size of like a wheelie bin on your back.
But like that'd be fine if you do the exoskeleton from like Alien or Avatar, where it's like 10 foot tall and you just kind of sit in it.
But this is barely bigger than you.
It's like
and
5 foot.
The whole thing behind you is almost bigger than the suit itself. Yeah. So not very practical. They cost it. What do they cost?
$150,000.
Yeah.
For just 40 grand more, you can fly.
Or for the combined cost, you can both fly and punch people. And that's Superman right there. And the freeze ray. You know what they should have done? Combined all of these together in one thing. So electric powers, flying.
Yeah, it's like, so I can work extra hours in a factory or pay a bit more and fly around like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Ooh, wonder which way I'm gonna go.
Wonder how much the fuel costs for the jet suit.
I think it's just
It's
like
kerosene, they say.
Yeah.
So not masses, you know.
it's not like some really
rocket fuel.
It's not like
literally.
uranium or something.
Well, maybe they should use some uranium. They probably get more than 15 minutes.
I think
out of
that'd
it.
bring in other issues.
Well, yeah, if you crashed, it probably wouldn't go so well, would
and
it?
general radiation.
If it's contained, it'd be all right.
But then that adds extra weight.
No,
But then it's
I
uranium.
reckon uranium probably weighs less.
But I
than
mean, like all the stuff to seal it, you have to buy
like
a shit
lead
ton
or
of
whatever,
lead.
Yeah, they for 15 minutes flying time, I'd have a bit of radiation.
And I think uranium's quite expensive.
And also quite hard to get hold of.
Yeah.
Which is why terrorists in every 80s and 90s film are always trying to look for uranium.
My boy Romulus Shadow Chaser was never after uranium.
No, they were neutron warheads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. As I said that, I realised that he was planning on super nuking America.
Yeah.
But that's my boy Romulus. But yeah, they say the similarity is 3 out of 10. I wouldn't even say it's that, because super strength and superheroes isn't an exoskeleton. It's like the Hulk.
I think Iron Man's suit tech, this is probably like 5 out of 10.
Yeah, but for a super strength superhero, this is 0 out of 10.
I'm gonna go like 2. I don't think
like this. An exoskeleton isn't the same as the Hulk.
Yes, but it's similar.
It's similar to a different power.
No, but it's similar still. It's 2
not
out of 10.
similar.
Similar just means like a simile is things that are like something else.
Some guy on steroids is more like the Hulk than this.
It's more like, and in that case, it would be 8 out of 10. Whereas this is less like it.
You think some guy on steroids is 8 out of 10, similar to the Hulk?
It depends on how many steroids he's on. Okay.
Oh wow. And they say usability 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which,
well, I mean,
I think it should be higher.
Yeah.
The similarity lower, but the usability, they clearly work. Like people do this.
5
stuff.
out of 10.
Yeah, 5.
I mean, we didn't see the punching capability.
No.
I don't know if it could even punch. I think it was
no,
just
because
like
it'd be really slow and
but
maybe
if it was
not
like,
an effective
like
punch.
you know what they need, like a spring-loaded fist kind of thing.
But that would probably break your arm.
No, but you don't have the fist. It's just a spring-loaded fist.
Oh, okay.
And it just bops like a Joker style boxing glove.
Yeah, or just build like a Pacific Rim robot.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, maybe there's gonna be in these 6 episodes. One is just on Pacific
That's
Rim.
like an exoskeleton taken to the absolute limit, isn't it?
I mean, that one of those does have a nuclear reactor in Pacific Rim, doesn't it? I don't know what the other ones are. Maybe more than one. I think one has like a whole nuclear core, the Russian one.
Because those Russians.
Speaking of Pacific Rim, the animated series has a 2nd season.
I know. I saw it on Netflix.
Did you watch any of it?
Nope.
I don't know if you'd really like it, to be honest. It's quite cool. Like it's quite dark and like it's not afraid to kill people off. But the character,
spoilers.
The character. Well, you don't know who it's gonna. The characters are a bit annoying, and they're all like kids, and it's a bit like the second one where there was little kids running around.
I didn't hate the second one.
They also do weird stuff with the lore where like it's more kind of science fiction magic-y, which is.
It's kids anime.
Anyway,
I watch enough anime these days with Project Blue Earth SOS and the Zeta Project and Debiru Man.
Yeah,
I've watched all the anime I need.
We've got a couple more that we're going to watch at some point.
Oh boy!
Once we get through these awful series we're watching at the moment. Hey, back to Mind Control.
They go back to Minecraft and they're back in the restaurant.
Minecraft.
Does it Minecraft? I'm back into Mind Control.
Sorry, that was a very large laugh.
And they go and eat, and she's basically just fucking around and making him spin his spaghetti and his meatballs and his wine. And she's really annoying and just goes. And I was like,
he also says he's going to use his fork, and then he's like, actually, you're going to poke me with the fork.
Yeah. But part of me was like, as fun as this is, I can see why you're doing it. I want to see if you can actually control him.
You'd have to put stuff all over his body, wouldn't you?
But like, no, could she
actually
make him eat? Pick up a meatball and put it in his mouth and chew it.
Yeah, instead she's just making him like spasm.
And I'm like, that you're kind of missing the entire point of. she was trying to do mind control, and she's just instead of testing it, she's just fucking around and having fun. And I'm like, cool, you've had your fun, but I'd like to see if you could actually use this technology.
Maybe it can't do that, and that's why, and they're just diverting it.
Yeah, but I was quite, and the fact they went back to this one for a third time,
and they went back to it a third time because she rated it really high.
She rated her own one. A couple of them they reviewed as a group. She rated her own one, and she was determined to win this challenge.
I've got a feeling that she made this show herself. Like she's the show, not on her own. She's like
she's in different wigs and shirts and like, hi, I'm Grant.
No, I think she might be like the main producer or something.
Yeah, okay.
Or maybe they all are, but that Tory guy doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So it cost $5,000.
Yeah.
Which fine, fairly cheap compared to some of the others.
Yeah, I don't really see how it costs that much.
Yeah. Usability, 7 out of 10.
No.
Considering all she could do was make him like spasm.
And you have to put which they say when it becomes the winner, Tori's like, oh, but you had to put the things on me, and she's like, my superpower is letting people trust me.
And then they roll credits, and I was like, no, that's a fair criticism.
I think so. They gave it 7. I think
usability. I'd barely even say that, because if you're up against a villain, they're not going to
quickly slap these on your arms.
And then, like, if you want to control them in any sort of situation, they need to keep it on. Surely you would immediately rip them off.
Yeah, okay.
I'm giving it like a 3.
3. Yeah,
you do make their arm move. 3. And then similarity. Are you fucking kidding me with this?
They gave it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. She thinks her ability to move her arm and make the other guy spill his wine is basically Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
Which is nonsense. Like, what? When she gave it 9 out of 10, I thought she was taking the piss. Yeah. And then they were like, yeah, so that's the rating. What? How is that?
Well, it's because she rated her own fucking one, didn't she?
Yeah.
I reckon they added it on at the end and just went, oh, we just have to film this quickly. Grant and Tori have gone home, so just better quickly knock. Oh, no, he was there, wasn't he, actually?
So it was like the cheapest and got the best rating.
Well, not the cheapest. It was £200.
Oh, yeah. What would you give it similarity? Because I give it a 1.
Oh, no, I think because it's the closest.
It's mind control.
Yes, but it's okay. But mind controlling involves controlling someone's body through.
So I keep getting distracted. There's a really big magpie.
There's a massive magpie outside, literally ginormous.
And it's just hopping around.
Where's it gone?
It's just over there.
I know, but there's a bit of window in the way for me. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's just having a great time. So I saw it coming down the stairs, and I could see you looking over.
I could see it then, but I just didn't mention it on the podcast.
But it's quite distracting, so we are now.
I'm just gonna get a video of it quick.
we can upload that to the social medias and be like, "This is the magpie we were talking about." Oh, he's jumped up now. He's getting away.
See you later.
But yes, similarity.
Similarity. I would give it a
1.
No,
1.
I would give it a 3.
Okay,
because I think you're controlling something.
Yeah, but you're not controlling a mind.
But you're controlling
mind control.
You're controlling someone else, which is what the implication of mind control is.
Okay.
And then they go through the list, don't they? They rank them from 6 to 1.
So I think we'll give theirs and then we'll give our own.
Well, we'll just give our number 1. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to rate.
Yeah, fair enough. To be fair, as they go through the list, I was like, yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that was bad.
We'll just say if we agree or disagree.
Okay.
Because I've written down the kind of points they make.
6th place, they put exoskeleton.
They say it's a high price. That's the only thing they say about it.
Yeah, but like it does kind of work. But again, it's not super strength.
I think that's not. I don't think. No, invisibility should have been the worst one.
Yes.
Which is the next one. They say low cost, but basically it's bad.
It basically doesn't. It's like it's like closing your eyes and being like, "Oh look, you're invisible now."
It's literally invisibility for like babies.
Yeah, it literally is. That
and
was
considering they fucking showed 2 other examples that are better, and then go, here's some lenses. It's literally, you know what it is? It's literally like those smoke and mirror, like the boxes where you can put your hand in and it's invisible because you're looking in a mirror. That is literally exactly the same as what it is. And we had that like 150 years ago. Like,
that was the worst.
That was so. Okay, we can vaguely figure this out. Invisibility, then exoskeleton.
So far. The next they put Jetman, which I was like, that's harsh. It's a really good one. You just didn't get to do it.
It's the expensiveness, basically, they say.
But it's a good one.
Yeah.
I think of those 3, it is the best of those 3.
Yeah, so at the moment, it's invisibility is the worst, then exoskeleton, then Jetman.
Then they go Dr. Ice.
Dr. Ice.
I
think I prefer Dr. Ice to Megawatt. But I know that you had the opposite opinion.
Yeah, see, I think Jetman's better than Dr. Ice because the usability.
You can actually do something. Yeah, okay. So invisibility, exoskeleton, Jetman, Dr. Ice. No, Dr. Ice, Jetman.
Yeah. And then second, this is when I got pissed off.
Because Captain Megawatt.
Captain Megawatt was second, which made Captain Megawatt, I genuinely think is the best one.
I think Jetman's better than Megawatt.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I think Dr. Ice is better than Megawatt as well. But
because you can actually use Megawatt. The Dr. Ice has to be in very specific circumstances with them standing still.
But the very specific conditions.
The Megawatt, you can literally just shoot lightning at people.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, okay. For what it is, it's usable. But there's no fucking way. You can't put those things on wheels and just wheel them up to a crime.
I'll give you Jetman over Megawatt, but I'm not giving you Dr. Ice.
We're going from worst to best. Oh no, and then there's Mind Control, which
they gave number 1.
I think it's probably.
I think 4th.
4. So invisibility is the worst. Then exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Then Mind Control.
Yeah.
Then Dr. Ice.
Yeah.
Then
Captain Megawatt,
and then Jetman. Cool.
Yeah, which is completely different to what they gave.
But the real number 1 is Dr. Jet Exo Ice Megawatts, which is the combination of all the good ones together.
Right. Okay.
So fuck invisibility and fuck mind control. The rest of them all in one thing. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the real winner there.
Cool. It's hard to.
I didn't like this very much, to be honest. I mean, it was fun to talk about it.
Yeah, I liked the content.
Yes,
I liked looking at the idea of how can you make realistic, real life superpower stuff.
It's kind
of
what
they did. I thought it was quite interesting.
It's kind of the opposite of Mythbusters. In Mythbusters, they try and test if something, not the opposite, but they try and test if something is possible in real life. In this, they're taking a concept which isn't supposed to be real and trying to find a real world alternative.
Which I quite like.
Yeah.
And like as somebody who's quite into superheroes and stuff, it's quite interesting to see real world applications. And some of it is cool. But the hosts are annoying. And the setup of it, like they're very much carried by the content. Everything they do themselves isn't very good. And I'm talking about the hosting, the judging, the setup of the episode just isn't very good.
Yeah. Even that kind of pacing that we mentioned is just not really.
Like if the 2 guys from Mythbusters, the main 2 guys, did this, it would probably be really, really good.
And I think they're probably just tired of doing. I mean, one of them was on VFX Artist React doing like practical effect stuff.
Right.
So they're clearly in the kind of not in the field, but they're in the. There's whatever of it recently, but I think maybe committing to a whole series, it was these guys' way of doing their own thing, and unfortunately, it didn't really pan out.
I haven't got any trivia.
I've got one bit of trivia, which is actually really sad, and I don't know if you knew about this before.
No,
I knew straight away, and I was going to mention it, but you didn't mention it, so I thought I'd save it for the end. Unfortunately, on the 13th of July, 2020, Grant Imahara died at the age of 49. He had basically a brain aneurysm. And I remember seeing it in the news and seeing that he was someone who worked on Mythbusters, but I'd not watched much of it. So this is the first thing that I'd ever seen him in. And
as you said, he was the best of the 3 on this show.
Yeah. literally. And
That-
on his birthday that year, October 23rd, what would have been his 50th birthday, they I think his family basically made like a STEM fund thing to get people into science, technology, etc.
Nice.
So his legacy's kind of carried on, and
like I said, he did seem
Yeah.
the most genuine guy.
yeah,
But 49 is.
I know,
And then brain aneurysm as well. It's one of those things that just happens, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly, yeah. And loads of his, he worked, I think Mythbusters started in like 2004 or 2005, and it ran for a good like almost 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
And a load of the props that he made were auctioned off to benefit this fund and foundation. So
Well,
yeah, he's got this nice
at least some
legacy.
positive come out.
Yeah, but it's just one of those tragic things. And yeah, having seen this now and seeing, like, as I said, that he was kind of standout, and you know, that you saw that, I knew that he passed away, and you still kind of saw that anyway. It's not just with that kind of hindsight there. Yeah, so a bit of a somber ending there, unfortunately. But you know, maybe maybe you'll see it in a different light when we cover the second episode.
Yeah. On another somber note, do you want to give ratings?
Okay, are we doing just this episode?
Just this episode, because we are gonna. Like I said, I like the idea. I like the concept. Not a huge fan of the presenting, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. I had the exact same thought in my head. I had it behind my head, and I was going to reveal 5.
Oh, I thought you were just scratching your neck.
No, I was going to reveal 5 fingers to show that I wasn't copying you, but doesn't really work. So not in this audio medium, especially. Yeah. I'm going to open the envelope, as I said a couple of weeks ago, and the winner is it's 5 out of 10. I think is fair. 6 implies it. I enjoyed it more than I did.
Yeah,
and I think even a 4 would be, if it was a slightly less interesting concept. Like you said, if it wasn't about superheroes. I think the next episode is about jailbreaks.
Yeah, which again, it could be interesting, like a
be.
movie thing,
but it also could be
bad.
Boring.
Yeah.
So that is the White Rabbit Project.
And now it's time for
Personal Projects.
This time it's personal projects.
Excellent. So it's been a while since we recorded, so I have got a few things. I'm going to save a couple for when we next record, including Moon Knight, because I haven't seen the latest episode yet.
Yep.
So what I have watched, though, I think one of them I mentioned to you, I watched The Lighthouse a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Went round to my friend's house because he lent me his Blu-ray a year ago to watch it, and I never did.
I think it was the day after we recorded our last episode together, actually.
Quite possibly, yeah. Very, very weird film.
Very weird, right?
I didn't expect to see Robert Pattinson masturbate like 4
Furiously
times.
masturbating over a little mermaid statue.
Yeah.
Mermaid.
But it's also very good.
Yeah.
Very weird. I quite like that, like, towards the end, you don't really know what's real.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, like, Robert Pattinson's clearly gone mad.
Yes.
But you're not sure if Willem Dafoe's also gone mad or not.
Yeah, it feels like he's gaslighting him a lot, doesn't he? Because he says at one point we've only been here like 2 days, I think, or like 2 weeks. And it's like, no, it feels like we've been here much longer than that. Yeah.
But it's very good.
Yeah, very kind of arty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even to the point of like in The Simpsons where they do the black and white arty piss takes, like the don't cry for me, I'm already dead. Some of the strange sequences in the Lighthouse feel like that kind of thing. But
it took me like 10 minutes to adjust to their accents.
Very strange, kind of, because it apparently is based on a real accent from, I think
it's New England, in like Victorian era.
So it's kind of a mixture between different regional accents in the UK.
At first I thought it was quite Irish.
Yes.
But it had a certain like twang to it that wasn't Irish.
A little bit of kind of like West Country as well.
Yeah, it's very mixed accent.
Yeah, and because they're very isolated as well. Yeah.
But
Willem
yes,
Dafoe, very good. His little
Yes.
monologue, fantastic. When he does he kind of starts getting more and more upset about the cooking, I think it is.
Yeah.
And the lighting changes, and he looks like this kind of Poseidon figure.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good. It's very
Yeah,
strange, but very
strange.
good.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to the Northman?
Yes, and I went to cinema this morning.
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
Fantastic Beasts. Won't talk about it now because we'll talk about it
Yeah,
in the Silver Screen Project. But they had screenings of The Northman, and
cool, yeah.
I am looking to watch that.
Yeah.
Maybe next weekend I'll go
I'd
see
quite
it.
happily sit next. Yeah. We'll see if we can see it together. That'd be great. If not,
Yeah,
we'll
I get paid on Thursday, so
yeah. I mean, I can see it the weekday. Yeah.
yeah. So at some point we'll see it next
We'll
week.
try and see it. That would be something to talk about. Probably in the episode after next, because it won't be good. But it's not something at the emergency there.
But yeah, Lighthouse was
Nice.
good.
And you do need to watch The Witch at some point, don't
Yes,
you?
I
It's on
do.
Netflix, so
Is it?
you
That's
can watch it
good.
whenever you want. I'll
what
give
have
you permission to watch it whenever you
Oh,
want.
thank you. To be fair, I do use. No, I use your Netflix for my laptop on my phone.
Okay.
Christina's sister's on the TV.
It's between the two of you. You haven't got. You don't pay. Apparently they're cracking down on that, but I don't really see
Look,
how.
I pay for Disney and Amazon Prime, and other
I
people
actually
use.
don't pay for Disney Plus at the moment. I actually let it lapse, so maybe we can sort something out.
Well, yeah, I do have a couple of people on my Disney Plus account.
Anyway, first thing that I was gonna mention, but I don't know if you watched it because I know you're kind of off trailers a little bit. Did you watch the Thor 4 trailer?
No, I specifically didn't.
It's a good trailer in that it doesn't reveal stuff, which is
Okay.
Which is nice. I won't watch the next one because I imagine they lose their kind of restraint after the first trailer.
I'm glad to hear that because we're going to go see Doctor Strange in a couple of weeks, and they will definitely show.
The visuals look great. It's taken the Ragnarok stuff up to the next level in terms of color palette's nice and refreshing, not the kind of grey washed color palette that we often see in these Marvel films, unfortunately.
And it's particularly things like Fantastic Beasts.
Yes, well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, that was one thing. As I've just mentioned that, I've also been listening to the new King Gizzard album, which we talked about briefly. Just worked my way through it. It's very good. I think it's one of their best for a little while. I think you'd enjoy it.
Good. I've listened to a couple of tracks off it. Haven't given it a full go yet.
Yeah.
Most
interesting stuff.
Because I've been away for last week. Haven't really had a chance to listen to stuff.
Yeah,
I've been with people.
Yeah, fair enough.
When I'm back at work, I can stick my headphones in and
watch stuff as well. I suppose you've kind of been limited.
I watched one thing, but I'll mention that next episode.
Yeah. Have you got any other bits? Because I've got a couple of little.
So me and Christina, I think last pod I mentioned that I watched Murder on the Orient Express.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We watched Death on the Nile.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
With your boy Army Hammer.
Oh yeah.
And
actual cannibal army.
and Black Panther's sister, who's an anti-vaxxer.
No, not Lupita. What's she called?
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but
I'll look her up while you're talking. Also, Gal Gadot.
Yeah, Gal Gadot. I looked up.
I was going to say because everyone said Gal Gadot as if she was French,
but
there is a T, but
it's
apparently
Gadot. It's not just Gal Gadot. It's Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
I saw her pronounce it. It made me laugh that like all the British actors in Death on the Nile have an American accent.
Oh, really?
The American actors have a British accent. And the Indian actor has an American accent, and Gal Gadot speaks like Gal Gadot because she's the only one that can't do an accent. Oh, except
I thought you were going to say she can't act. Then I was going to somewhat agree with you.
I don't think it's the case that she can't act. I think she's just very two-dimensional,
which some would say is a lack of acting talent.
So's Ryan Reynolds.
Oh no, I feel.
I think the roles that Gal Gadot does, she does well.
I mean, she
just doesn't really have any range.
She's got no range at all. But
like, nor does Keanu Reeves.
No, and I would, absolutely put them in the same camp, 100%.
Okay.
But I think Ryan Reynolds has a little bit more up and down. He's got a bit more emotional range. I don't really believe anything that she puts across, but Letitia Wright is the
Letitia
actress
Wright,
you were
yeah.
thinking of.
But yeah, Death on the Nile, it was good fun. Again,
How would you stack it up against the first one?
I'd say pretty similar.
Cool. Did you know the story beforehand?
Nope. And I was interested in the mystery. When it was revealed, I'd picked up on a couple of clues, but hadn't come to the right conclusion.
Okay,
so I was still surprised.
Nice.
Similar like the first one, I'd picked up on some clues, but it was only when it was revealed I was like, oh yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. We talked about it in the first one. I was like, it's really, really convenient that all these people have all these connections.
Yeah.
And you go, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, there was one thing that I won't spoil it, but Poirot says a line.
Yeah.
And I turned to Christine and was like, it's interesting he said that and not something else.
Yeah.
Which was a hint towards that. But I picked up on that, but didn't take it to the logical endpoint. But you know, it is fun. There's good performances all round.
Nice.
Obviously, it's a good cast for what they do.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that's cancelled in there?
No, it's not quite as like star-studded as the first one, which obviously had like Johnny Depp, Daisy Ridley, amongst others.
Michelle Pfeiffer was in it.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, it's not quite. The train conductor in the first one, who's like friends with Poirot.
Oh yeah,
he comes back. Cool. He's there.
Russell Brand's in it, is he?
Oh yeah, he is in it.
Only for a little bit though.
No, he's in it for the entire
he's in
film.
it for quite a lot.
He's actually, you kind of forget it's Russell Brand, which is
really?
good.
Okay. We've also got
he plays like a doctor, so he's not just playing Russell Brand.
We've got Emma Mackey, who's everyone says looks like Margot Robbie.
Yeah,
she's from Sex Education.
Yeah, there's also
Jennifer Saunders.
Yeah, Jennifer Saunders and Dawn French are both in it.
Oh yeah, there she is. Rose Leslie from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And I was gonna say Downton Abbey as well first. But yeah. She's got like a French accent.
Cool.
But yeah, so like it's got people in it, and it's quite
good. That's good. That's a good start.
But not quite on the same level as the first one. It's nice seeing French and Saunders together again.
Are they a bit of a duo in this?
They are. Yeah. I think Dawn French plays like the handmaid to Jennifer Saunders.
Right.
So they are in every scene together. But yeah, like it wasn't bad by any stretch.
No.
Do
you think they'll make another one?
I don't think so, because it was one of those Foxhole carried on to Disney, which is why it was stuck on Disney Plus and not a cinema release.
I think it was released in cinema in some places. I just think not here.
It didn't get much like advertising, did it?
No. I just had it open. God, I'm going to open it up again. Bloody hell, I thought we were done with
that. But I'd like to see it. It didn't like the first one ends with like, oh, there's been a murder on the Nile.
So okay, that's something that I had questions about, because in the first film, he's on the train when the murder happens and thus is stuck in the situation with the people. In this, is he called to the scene of a murder?
No.
Or is it a different murder?
It's a different murder.
So
bullshit.
He goes, he's like, there's been a murder, or death on the Nile, you might say.
Yeah.
And he goes...
So this film starts with he having solved that murder.
Yes.
And then he goes on holiday while he's still in Egypt, I think, and meets his friend who's a train conductor, who's like, hey, I'm going to like a honeymoon party, come with me. And they're on like a boat going down the Nile, and then there's a murder.
I see.
So he's like, oh, I've just solved a murder on the Nile, now there's another murder on the Nile. But yeah, once it gets into it, it is good, and it's fun. I like Branagh's Poirot. I think he does it well.
In March of 2022, 20th Century Studios President Steve Asbell confirmed that a third movie was in development, with Branagh returning to direct and star.
Good.
With the same screenwriter.
Nice.
In a post-war Venice, an adaptation of one of the lesser-known novels.
Nice.
What do you think it's going to be called? A Killing in Venice?
I reckon in Venice. Did you say?
Yeah.
I reckon if we looked up.
Oh no, I'm trying to picture a name for it. So we've got Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and then it's going to be A Killing in the Canal.
A Killing in the Canal. I quite like that. I'm going to look.
You're just racking your brains, mind palacing it, are you?
Yeah, totally mind palacing.
Totally mind palacing. Yeah.
I'll see if any particular titles
See if anything
jump
jumps out to your brain.
Yeah.
Anything coming. Use a bit of the.
I've nearly got one. A
Maybe.
good title for it would be The Adventure of the Italian Nobleman.
I think you need to fire whoever's in charge of your Mind Palace organization there, because I mean,
Look, it's a big palace. It's hard to find.
You know, the reason why I decided to pitch my own one is because they didn't reference the title in this Wikipedia page, which made me think it wasn't going to be the title of it. So that's why I thought, let's think our own name.
See, I was going a bit outside the box. Don't need to mention Venice in the title.
I mean, that's why I say Killing on the Canal.
The Adventure of the Italian Nobleman.
Okay, well, if it comes out while we're still doing the podcast, if it comes out at all,
yeah,
or if we're not doing the podcast for whatever reason, the murder-suicide we mentioned last episode, then I'm going to call it The Killing in the Canal, no matter what.
Okay, so when it is
The Adventures of the Italian Nobleman.
Yeah, if they name it what I have decided to make up as what would be a good name, then you owe me £5.
We can change the name of the podcast to The Adventures of the Italian Nobleman.
Yes.
Anyway, I've got one more thing to talk about. I've actually got like 5 more things, but I'll save them for another time.
Yeah.
So you told us, me and the listener,
the
one listener, that you'd watched the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
And I mentioned that I'd never read the comics. So I have now read the first 2 volumes of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Is it good?
Not really, to be honest.
I thought it was, that's the whole thing. Is like the comics was good, and that's why
honest,
people are angry the film was
the
bad.
film's probably better, to be honest.
Oh my god, who is it? It doesn't
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore.
So one thing
Alan
I've
Moore
noticed,
complaining that people make bad
one thing I've
adaptations.
noticed, Alan Moore loves sexual assault in his films and in his comic books. Okay, so Watchmen, which you haven't partaken in.
I've seen the film.
You've seen the film? Oh, you have seen the film now.
Yeah. I watched it a couple of years ago.
Well, for a long time I knew you hadn't watched the film.
Yes.
Anyway, Silk Spectre's mum is assaulted by the comedian in that, which potentially is her father. That's the whole thing. In V for Vendetta, the comic opens with Natalie Portman's character almost being assaulted. She's a prostitute, something like that, and then is saved by V. In this, multiple times people are either assaulted or almost assaulted. Once by Mr. Hyde himself, which is quite an unpleasant kind of thing. Mina Harker isn't a vampire. She's just a woman with a very scarred neck that she covers in a thing.
What's the point of that then?
I don't know. They're constantly asking why she's on the team. And in the first 2 volumes, which is the main run of it, it's never explained. On the Wikipedia page, it says she later gained immortality. Okay.
Right.
It's interesting because they do play onto the fact that it's in this kind of semi-literary world of Victorian London.
Yeah, which is quite a fun aspect.
Moriarty's in it at some point. Mycroft Holmes is in it. You see a little flashback to the Reichenbach Falls with Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
And there's speculation he's still alive. There's people like the Dr. Moreau's in it, who had the Island of Dr. Moreau. There's a lot more crossover.
Yeah.
But the first adventure particularly is not that interesting. The second one is a War of the Worlds thing. So Martians are coming down. So it's these guys against the Martians, basically, which is quite interesting and would have made a better film, probably. But generally, it's like... it's a lot of like... it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like... what's he called? Alan Quatermain is like a full-on opium addict, and he's very thin and frail, but he's still got like his shooting skills. And him and like Mina Harker end up in a like relationship. There's like very sexual scenes between them. It's
so. Are you going to carry on reading it?
I mean, apparently there's spin-offs concerning different characters. Like there's a Nemo spin-off and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I will read through it.
But at that point, just read like, what was it? Captain Nemo's on 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Yeah.
Just read that.
Yeah. Well, the end has like a whole... It's called like a addendum or a compendium or something, where it goes through and it's text with like illustrations as if it's an old book.
Right.
So there's a whole chapter of that which I skipped over because I finished it last night at like midnight, and I was like, I'm not going to read it. But that goes into the future of the league, so it goes into other characters, and it's almost just speculating interesting stories they could have. There's like Skull Islands in it and stuff like that, and like they bring in like Lovecraftian stuff, Mountains of Madness, and it's all just a bit like, maybe write stories about this rather than just making up some bullshit like summary at the end. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes, but if those two are the kind of seminal first two parts, it's like,
are they?
That's like the main bit is the first two volumes.
And that bloody hell.
And the first one is basically a lot of it's like the first Avengers where they're gathering them together.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting apart from all the Mina almost getting raped in like Arabia or whatever. It's just like, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then they basically fight like it's kind of racist as well.
I have always thought Alan Moore is a bit
like
odd.
at one point Mina's like, oh, my silly womanly brain, and it's like, I know it's supposed to be written as if it's like an old like in the next time it's like, you better brace yourselves, if you're a woman you better look away and stuff like that, but it's written by someone in like the 80s and 90s, like late 90s. I don't know, it feels
I
like
have always thought Alan Moore's a bit of a strange man.
Yes, I think that's pretty certain there. But you know, I'm glad I read it because it's something I've been meaning to read for like 15 years, but I was just a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, fair enough. I will not read it then.
No, I mean, if any of the spin-offs or further adventures are good, spoiler alert, most of them die at the end of the second volume. So
nice.
I don't think most of them are going to be in it. But anyway. Hey-o.
Cool.
So, actually, something really funny happens. So Mr. Hyde sacrifices himself. Spoiler alert. And at the very end, they're like, we're going to rename this park after Mr. Hyde.
No.
I literally laughed out loud.
Oh my God.
They call it something else beforehand. So Hyde Park is named so because Mr. Hyde sacrificed himself against the Martian tripods. That's silly, isn't it?
That's very, very silly.
Very silly, yeah. Anyway.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think that's that.
I don't think I can take much more of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll revisit White Rabbit Project at some point.
Yes, hopefully. So.
But for now, hopefully you enjoyed this. You, the listener, not you, Sam, because I don't care about your opinions.
And you kind of heard them already.
Hopefully you, the listener, enjoyed this episode more than we enjoyed the White Rabbit Project.
Yes.
And if you did, you can give us a rating. But we gave them a rating. We gave them a 5 out of 10. You can also give us 5 stars on your podcast app.
Fantastic stuff.
Just do it.
Yeah, you can also recommend it to someone else if you think someone else would be interested in this content.
Yeah, it's a great way to share podcasting. Like podcasting went for a period where people were like, "Oh, not everyone listens to podcasts." Everyone listens to podcasts these days. Tell somebody to listen to this podcast, and they'll probably be like, "Yeah, okay."
Most people, you talk to someone who doesn't listen to podcasts, they listen to podcasts at Spotify. They're fucking shit. Like most podcasts, I'm not saying we're better than most podcasts, but we're better than most podcasts.
We are.
Most podcasts are like two people who have no personality chatting on about inane stuff. And at least we're talking about specific stuff.
There'll be so much stuff as well, just like generic famous person and their generic famous friend talking about
their
nothing.
Slightly less famous friend.
Just talking about nothing.
We mentioned one earlier. Was it Brie Larson and Jeff Lamon or whatever it was called?
Jesse Ennis.
It's not
the runner.
Not the runner, yeah. That's well remembered there. Or they're like, oh, we read about relationships on Reddit. You can read about them on your own. You don't need to have someone read things out. Oh, am I the arsehole? Yeah, probably. You, the fucking person who made this podcast. Jesus Christ.
Obviously, there's some very good podcasts out there.
There's not.
But there's also some very bad ones. So, like,
yeah,
you as a listener of the Project, it is your duty
absolutely
to rise the standards of podcasting around the world and get people to convert from their shitty, dumb podcasts to listen to the Project
You
Project
need to
instead.
separate the wheat from the chaff, and we will be whichever one of those is the good thing.
Yes.
The wheat. We're the wheat.
And when you do convert people, let us know by getting in contact with us directly.
Yes, at theprojectprojectpod@gmail.com. If you send us an email and show us proof that you got someone on board, we will send you 5 project pounds.
Yeah.
Project
pounds. Sure, they can all get 5. You get 5 project pounds. You get 5 project pounds. You all get 5 project pounds.
Only if you send us proof that you have got someone on board, or if you've left us a review, you get 5 project pounds. Just a little disclaimer: project pounds are not worth anything. It's purely for sentimental value.
They're like Disney bucks.
Exactly, they're not worth anything.
When we open Project Land,
Project Land, or just Project Land?
Okay, Project Land. They can get you like it'll only be like 10 project pounds for like a chocolate bar. So if
So
you write in,
two
you can get 2 reviews and you can get a free chocolate bar at Project Land.
And we're gonna
come in 2023.
So what we're gonna have is each zone, instead of being like a particular Disney princess or whatever, is going to be one of the things we've covered. And every time we cover a new episode, a new area has to get added on.
So we'll have like
the Shadow Chasers one big area.
Yeah, we'll have the Romulus zone where,
and we'll have Frank Zagarino himself there.
Yeah,
in character.
We have like the Zeta Project zone. The
Zeta zone and the Zagarino zone
and the Zagarino zone. We'll have the White Rabbit zone. We'll have Tori and Carrie just in a cage, so they can't do any more damage to the world.
In a Faraday cage.
And
they can't get out of it because they'll get electrocuted.
Yeah. Then we can have a little
and a little memorial. Yeah,
absolutely. So when Project Land opens,
you'll have all the bucks ready.
Yeah.
So Project Bucks. Project Pounds sounds.
Is there any currency that we can combine with the word project? Like into like an amalgamation.
Projuros?
Projuro? That may be the best. This may be a
or like pesos, projesos.
This may be a come back and look at it. Project.
You better believe I'm Googling currencies around the world.
This may be a thing to come back to at another time.
I'm just looking for ones that start with P because that might be helpful.
Is it though? I think a better one would be one that starts with J. So we can do project. You know, is there anything that begins with J?
There are the Jamaican dollar, the Japanese yen, and the Jersey pound.
Oh, that was shit.
Or the Jordanian dinar.
We don't want one that's just a country at the start.
No, that's what all the J's are.
What about T? You can roll straight from Project Dollar. Is that a thing?
Oh wait, hang on. Am I looking at the right thing here?
Probably not.
Oh yeah, that's the the fractional unit there. This is something for another time, I reckon. But until then,
Project
Bucks. Yeah, a lot of them is just they've got the name in front of it, like Tonga Panga.
So
Project Panga.
Did you do all the socials?
No, I didn't. If you want to find our other socials, you can look in the link tree in the episode description. You can look for the Project on all social medias or the Project Pod. If you give us a follow, you'll be alerted to when the new episodes come out. Same for on Spotify, etc. If you click the little subscribe or follow button, you'll be alerted every Monday morning GMT, 7 a.m. when the podcast comes out.
Soon to be BST.
Soon to be BST.
Or is it already BST?
Already BST, British Summertime. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think GMT still stands because it's Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah, but we're like an hour ahead or behind GMT.
Okay, anyway. Every Monday morning in vaguely European time, you will find a new episode in your feed and you can listen to it and then you can finish listening to it and give us a review every time.
Yeah, the screen project coming up. You've probably seen that we reviewed the first 2 Fantastic Beasts films.
It should be coming
soon
out
after this episode comes out. We will release our review of the brand new Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore,
which Lewis has seen, as he said earlier. I've yet to see, so we had no discussion.
By the time this episode comes out, you may have seen it.
Yes, well, hopefully, because we need to record the other one.
Yes,
and then we'll be rolling straight on to another one, which we'll talk about in a later episode. But if you look ahead,
probably bring that up next episode, I think, because it'll be coming out soon after.
We should probably bring it up now because I think we need to promote it now.
Yes. So in a couple of weeks, there is Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness coming out.
Yes, that's right.
Even though Doctor Strange has been in a ton of Marvel films, he's only actually got one of his own films. So we're going to watch Doctor Strange. We're also going to watch the What If episode.
That's right.
Revolving around Doctor Strange in build up to the Multiverse of Madness.
That's right.
Come along for the ride. Looking back, I've got generally good opinion of both those things, so it should be fun.
Same. And I think for that second one, we can lean into a bit more speculation, kind of spoiler free. I know very slightly more than you from watching the trailer, but
I have seen a trailer.
Yes.
Which shows a character that appears in the What If episode. So
okay, there's something else. Anyway, we will talk about that in the relevant thing. And we won't take any more of your time up today.
For now, it's been a pleasure having you along for the ride.
It's good to be back.
And me personally, Lewis of the Project, shall hear you next week.
And I, Sam of House Project, pledge fealty to you, dear listener.
Oh, I thought you were going to say me. That's a shame.
Good night.
Bye.
I'm a good night.
Well, that's not nothing.